All right. So I'll give chat like 15 more seconds to put your predictions for ninth place, or you can do your whole ass predictions. I was envisioning people just going to put their prediction for ninth place and then we were going to go. But that's fine. So we've got Sadlamps predicted Hobart Cerberus in ninth. Sega has Aegis in ninth. Cerberus guaranteed top 10. That's facts. Every team at Prenet is guaranteed top 10 for a comp. That's pretty damn
Looks
cool.
like all the Hobart guys are backing Cerberus to not be in ninth, but everyone from out of state is putting Cerberus in ninth.
We've got a war going on.
Zoltak themselves, the physical embodiment of Zoltak is in the chat. Who is that?
Oh man.
Someone forgot they were logged in as well.
Nice. No, leave it, Simi. It's good. That's funny. Cool. So it looks like the consensus is Aegis in ninth place. So we'll get right into it.
Rip.
Let's see who we have in our wooden spoon. Hobart Cerberus. So they were given 4 points because I had them predicted for ninth, Runt had them predicted for ninth, and Spider had them predicted for eighth, which has put them in the wooden spoon spot for this comp. You know, that being said, the team's changed a little bit since last pre-nats. They've picked up Disney now, so it is a 7-man team, which people the general consensus is that a 7-man team isn't as good, especially for a pre-nats, because you have to spread out the games across more people, so less time in the arena. But excuse me, I just scoffed like a whole bowl of noodle soup before, so I'm gassed up. So excuse me. So Flick on the team's list was formerly Harley at Prenats 1, so that's not a new player. Last Prenats they were predicted for 12th place out of 13, and they ended up finishing in 11th. So can they beat their predictions again? Run. Why don't you take us off? How have these guys been going and training since Prenats?
I wanna have them not here, but I think the main reason they are here is not because they're not playing well. It's just because this competition is a lot harder than Prenuts 1 was. So you look at the team spectrum for Prenuts 2, it's all very strong teams. Like every team I think has like at least a few Nats players, and these guys are all just so fresh. So although they're playing well in their home team, I just don't know if they're going to be able to contend with the likes of those really experienced Nats players. In saying that though, hopefully, I think they play best when they're in hard games. So I think something we saw a lot at Prenats 1 was a lot of dumps in those lower tier games, and Cerberus just had no idea really how to respond, because with new players, a lot of the time it's like when the game's going standard game, everyone knows where to be, what to do, because it's standard, they're used to it, they've played it. But when the game turns into chaos, the new players are the ones that really suffer a lot of the time. Yeah. So I think that's what we saw at Prenuts 1. I'm kind of hoping that expecting to see less of it at Prenuts 2, because the teams are a lot stronger, which will hopefully give these guys a bit more of a chance to do a bit better. But yeah, with regards to 7-man team, Disney's a new addition, and then they won't be playing all players quite equally. So I think players like Disney might play a few less games so that the core squad can stay more synergized. So, and also hopefully because they're a home site playing so many games in the arena already, 7-man team hopefully won't impact them as much, but it's still looking like they might be in a wooden spoon position, unfortunately.
How are these guys in general on hitting those barrel sensors?
They don't seem to go for it as much as other teams. Archangels recently have really been picking up those barrel sensors. They've just been railing mine. I've been getting so frustrated in training, because I swear I went away for 2 weeks and then I came back and my barrel sensor was just getting hit every single time. But no, I think these guys still haven't really embraced Helios 2 yet. They're still peaking their guns a lot when they don't need to, and they're not quite hitting those phaser shots as much as I'd hope they would be by now.
Right. Yeah, I think I only versed Cerberus like once, maybe twice. So I don't have much to draw on in terms of like from what I remember. It was just like you said, Run. It was my team Aftershock against Cerberus and maybe not a duck deployment or something, and there was a dump, and I'm pretty sure it was Cerberus that dumped actually.
Oh, interesting.
So it was a pretty crazy game. They ended up managing to pull the second from memory, but yeah, I think my initial thoughts is that like Runt was saying, although it is a home team, it is a lot of new players, and it's just the caliber of players on the teams above them is like, you know, there's some really good players there that could really cause some problems for Cerberus. Whereas this team doesn't seem like it has that, you know, a big star player yet. Obviously, new team, that's to be expected, and you know, between this pre-nuts 3, by the time nuts comes, maybe they'll have their own little starter to help push them through those hard games. But Spider, have you got anything to say about these guys?
Yeah, I think like straight off the bat, changing alias to Flick is like one of the cleanest aliases I've seen in a while. Love that.
It's pretty damn cool.
I've been staring at it the whole time.
I missed Nexus where I had full control of their aliases. No alias changes.
No,
it is a better one.
I think with a team like this, looking at like the lineup of teams that are in pre-nuts, I don't think like you would be looking to climb too much. I think you kind of understand where you sit in the comp, and like these guys particularly should use this as training, because like the teams that are going to be around them and in most of their games are obviously going to be quite powerful. I think it's pretty obvious, but the one thing that they have under them is like a bit of like knowledge inside the arena. I noticed when we versed this team in Prenuts 1, it was just like semi-frustrating to verse because I felt like I should have just been better, but they just know the arena. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of goes pre-2 when that like arena advantage is not as strong. And yeah, I think Captain Morgan, classic stuff that we see from him. He felt very kind of like same old, just like one of those players that you don't expect much from, but then always surprises you literally every time. So I want to see more of that. I want some more like giggles from him. And I think Dom, I heard a lot about him going into Prenuts 1, and at Prenuts 1 it was like very evident. I didn't speak to him much at all, but he was very like loud and like present in the arena. So I want to see what happens with that because he's a sick lad.
Yeah, how has Dominator been like? Do you reckon Dominator learnt quite a lot from his first competition captaining, and is he still captaining?
Yeah, he's definitely still captaining. He's struggling a bit more to keep Disney in reins, as kind of expected, because the other 5 players listen to him really well, but Disney kind of does his own thing, so that's been causing a bit of stress for Dom, unfortunately. Hopefully Disney will just do what is told in the competition. So yeah, but Dom's still got a good handle on the team, I think, and I think he did learn a lot. Like after the comp, we just sat down and we went, here's all the different ways dumps can happen and what to do for them, because that was the main thing breaking the game.
I think yeah, like Spider was kind of saying, just it'd be hard to see this team climbing above the teams like quite maybe I think the highest I could see them climbing to is maybe 7th. But they're just the caliber on the teams, caliber of players on like all the teams above them is like it's pretty significant. So I think like Spider was kind of saying is if they go into this comp trying to like, you know, with the objective of just like winning, you know what I mean? I feel like it could be like a pretty rough comp for them. But if the objective is obviously you try to win the games, right? But the main objective is just like after every game breaking down all the micro things that you did wrong, all the strategic things you did wrong, and then also, maybe more importantly, for a comp like this where there's so many good players, looking at what the other teams are doing right, and be like, man, they just like smashed through our base. Like, how did they do that? Not just like, oh, they just like rocked up and got our base. They're so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really like, you know, really just getting the nuts and bolts of it. And if they can treat every game like that, they can walk away from pre-nats 2 with a lot of things to work on and develop and lots of experiences and stuff. And that's at the end of the day, that's what these pre-nats comms are all about, right?
Yeah, for sure. This team is also looking to get out of pre-nats, working out the 6 players that will stay for nats. So this team will be reduced to a team of 6 right after pre-nats 2. So this is
Yeah,
like the
Yeah. Well, boys, do you have any last thoughts for these guys?
I'm backing them. They're not going to get 9th.
Yeah, I think they can go. They'll shuffle around 8th and 9th a bit. It'll be that battle for those last 2 spots. I think if the final wooden spoon game would be very interesting.
All right. Well, best of luck to Hobart Cerberus. Predicted for the 9th place. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Chat. I know there was a few very enthusiastic people that did their predictions for like the entire comp. But can I get everyone in chat to give their predictions for just 8th place? Who do they think is going to be 8th? And we'll see if you're right or if you're wrong. Yeah. Who else got bummed by like the stupid expensive flights to pre-nuts 2 that are like expensive for like no reason? I know Aftershock was planning on going, and then we were like, yeah, sick, like let's look at flights. And then it was like, you know, on web chat it was like 1 arm, 1 leg, and a kidney. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm willing to put that towards a pre-nuts. Yeah. Spider, you were saying that your flights were like $98 or something?
Yeah, so I did mine like relatively early. I just booked the exact same flights as pre-1. And so they were like cheapish, and then they went super expensive, and then there was a stupid deal again. Every time I book flights for a comp, then there's like this deal where they're like $30 or something ridiculous. It wasn't quite that bad, but yeah. I think return it ended up being like $250 or something.
That's so good. Aftershock just got our flights for pre-nat 3 because we were like, okay, these flights were like, let's organize the pre-nat 3 ones. There was still $495 return.
Yeah, I would heavily recommend everyone book pre-nat 3 flights ASAP. You want to get in early.
Yeah. And a con was a bit of a struggle as well. But anyway, let's have a look. So Dominator has Cerberus in 8th, Sadlamp Aegis, Holgren put Vikings in 8th. That's it. Hey, you never know. Spider put Rampage in 8th. You're so funny. Adelaide Aegis from Bread, Cerberus from Simi.
We get 8th, half our team will quit. I swear to God.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see who we have in 8th place. If you're quick, you could probably read it before I do it. But man, there we are. We have Adelaide Aegis predicted for 8th place. So I had them in 7th. Spider had them in 9th. Runt had them in 8th, earning them 6 points. Final prediction, 8th place. On the team, we have Pendragon, Exile, SSG, Pogsley, Wardy, and Mikey. Now, I know Runt at least got caught out with this. Spider might have as well. Pendragon was the one that put the Rego through, hence why they're in bold as the captain. But it's actually
their name at the top. How dare them?
How dare them? I always put my name at the bottom.
Yeah.
When I'm doing Rego, because I'm like, well, I don't want to seem like an asshat. So basically, Claire, you're an asshat. No, I'm kidding. Yes, Wardy is. We'll fix that now. Wardy is. Oh. Wardy is the
cool.
captain.
But yes, my bad. I saw Pendragon at the top of the form and went, cool, they're captain, easy as. And then my original rankings had these guys in 9th because I thought they had a new captain. So I'm like, oh, well, Cerberus might be able to pip them if they've both got new captains, but maybe not with the Wardy as captain.
Yeah. So I guess I should talk about these guys. Um, so they did originally register with Pendragon, Exile, SSG, Wardy, and Pogsley. Exile isn't going to be on Adelaide Aegis. He's on Adelaide Anomaly, which played as average Nexus players at Prenuts 1. But not all of them could make Prenuts 2, obviously because it was really expensive. So Exile was just like filling in because he's coming off a long retirement, wanted to get right back into it, super eager beaver. He's actually going to be joining Aftershock for Prenuts 3 because Mikey couldn't come as well. So that's very cool. But yeah. So when Aftershock originally planned to go to Prenuts 2, and then we couldn't make it anymore, Mikey was like, well, I can't go to Prenuts 3, so I'm going to try go to Prenuts 2 with these guys. And they were gracious enough to let him join them. What notes do I have?
So are these guys missing Axiom for the Nats team, or who are they
No.
missing on the Nats one?
So Axiom is from Anomaly. So the players they're missing
Okay.
are the team's in a bit of like a fluid state at the moment, I guess. Like they've got quite a lot of players that are, but I'm not sure if all of them are confirmed going. But I know they're missing SSG's sister, but she is missing from this Prenuts team. They're missing. Who else are they missing? I should probably know this. Hold up. I have a sheet somewhere. Bear with me.
Wolfie.
Yes, Wolfie. That's right. Damn.
Ninja in the chat.
SSG. Oh, has Ninja done it? Yeah. Thank you, Ninja. So they're missing SSG's sister, missing Wolfie, and Wall and Gizmo are like semi-confirmed for the team, but not really.
Interesting.
They're not sure if they're going or not. I might be missing someone else. If so, I'm sorry. I should know. I'm just having a bit of a breakout at the moment, guys, because I'm stressed. Anyway, pretty similar roster to what you would have seen at Bendigo Nuts, except now they have Pendragon and Wolfie.
Man, I'm trying to think of which team it was. There are so many Adelaide teams. I'm like trying to piece together which
Yeah.
ones I saw in which game.
Well, they came 16th, if that helps.
Yeah. So, and was
Um,
Wardy captain at that Nats?
Wardy was the captain at Nuts as well, yes.
Okay, cool.
So, geez, this is taking way too long. So the notes I have, both Mikey and Exile were at Prenuts 1. So I think they're going to be able to bring the rest of the team up to speed in terms of like the good spots that they found. Obviously, some of those have changed, which we'll talk about at the end of the stream with the updated maze map. Good places to take the bases from, good places to, just general setups and stuff. And they can give some anecdotal advice on like how to not get barrel shot all the time. Obviously, you could tell everyone about how to not get barrel shot, and then it'll still take a long time to get used to because they're just so damn sensitive. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
You really do need to shift your whole mindset of how you play. Patience is
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, for sure. So they're gonna bring a lot to this team in terms of the experience from Prenuts 1. Obviously, just general experience as well. Excel's been playing quite a while. Mikey's been playing a long time now as well. Lots of high level experience. Mikey playing an Aftershock. So I'm pretty keen to see what these guys can whip up. I don't really know how the team's gonna set up in games, to be honest. Like Wardy's gonna lead the attack. Pendragon's typically and SSG have typically been the door defenders. Pogsley might last line, or he might open up on attack as well. And then I think Exile and Mikey, their plan is just like, hey, like you play in the spots you normally play in, we'll just like fill the bits that you need.
Yeah, that does look like a strong setup. Especially if you get like Wardy and Mikey rocking up to your base, that will be a very strong attack for the sort of tier they're playing in.
Yeah, Wardy's been doing pretty good leading the attacks in Adelaide. He's got a good lunge on him. Got a decent reach despite him not being very tall. Or in like at least he just knows how to use it, and he's left-handed, and he knows how to use his left-handedness.
Do you guys find lunging matters that much at Hobart?
Sometimes. You know, getting the person out of off the back of the tee in green, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're on the right door, or what we were calling the side door at blue, like getting the lunge onto the person like under.
Yeah.
Essentially lunging people in like that sandwich area and stuff. So
yeah, it definitely helps. It's not like the Darwin level though, where it's like you lunge or you're useless on attack.
Yeah.
Run 3 meters.
Yeah.
Runt, you've had someone else ask you to be in the hammock. That's funny because we keep telling Runt that he should do the whole thing in the hammock.
We tried it.
Anyway, my
It
brain's
was
turning to
very
mush right
blurry.
now. My brain's turning to mush. So someone else say some words so I can reset my brain.
Woody's been very solid, especially at Bendigo Nationals. I think he'll be a
Okay, mid-Sellers
good
finals.
captain. Yeah, I
Mid-Sellers.
recall. Yeah, Pugsley I think was pretty solid for a new player. SSG, loud comms from memory. You wouldn't sneak past without getting comms from her. XR is just always solid. It was so weird seeing him play in Hobart because he obviously wasn't bounding around everywhere, which is what I'm used to seeing him as ages ago. So yeah, he was just diligence shooting people at Freenets 1. So yeah, I think they'll do. I think they'll probably avoid Wooden Spoon, but it's still hard to see them climb much further from there because there are some clear like newer players on the team. So you've got some high highs and low lows, so that opens up cracks in the team if you don't play it well.
Spider, what you got, baby?
What you got for me? Yeah, I don't know. I think again it's one of those hard teams to judge because coming off pre-1, a lot of the teams moving forward have some sort of experience in the maze, which is what you said, having like Mikey and Exile there before will help them a lot. But I think it'll really come down to like how these guys play and like adapt straight away. Because I think like come nationals, I think we've all said it, but the teams that don't attend pre-nats are just going to be so far behind. It's ridiculous. So yeah, nonetheless, it's good to have this team of people coming. Heaps of people that I didn't really know before the last like 12 months, but getting quite familiar with them now, which is sick. I think it's similar position to the last team. I don't think there's too much room for these guys to like skyrocket from where we've predicted them. But I think even these guys more than the last team, I think they'll get a lot out of this comp specifically moving towards Nats in just terms of experience and like the teams they're versing. I think it's going to be like such a good comp pretty much for everyone. I don't want to say it for every team, but I think it's going to be like a very good training pre-nats. And I don't think placement's going to be too crazy important for this one.
The teams
are only
all
9 teams, so teams are going to be able to play like quite a few games, right?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the schedule or anything, but
lots of games and very similar teams, so there'll be very few blowout games. I think all the games will be hard fought, even in round robin. So it's going to be a brutal 19 or whatever number of games we're getting.
It's not brutal. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Adelaide Aegis has been doing pretty well in training. We've done 2 of our SA qualifiers now. I believe they are currently sitting in last for the qualifiers, but they made some like definite improvements from the first qualifier we did to the second qualifier. So they definitely they're putting their brains to work.
Who normally anchors on the team?
I think it's been Pogsley actually.
Okay.
Or at least Pogsley did at the last qualifier we played, so that might be what we see. He did open on attack sometimes in Bendigo Nuts and like in training and stuff, but I think
because
more recently I've seen him in last line.
Okay, I think I've said it a few times, but Hobart, you want a good anchor. Like it's so important with the barrel sensors, with the dynamicness of the bases. You want someone that feels comfortable in that last line position, because it all falls onto them. essentially.
Yeah, insurance policy. Well, chat. We'll round up Adelaide Aegis, but do you want to put your predictions in the chat for 7th place? Who have you got? But boys, do you have any parting thoughts for this team?
Don't think so. I think it will be these two sort of fighting for bottom 2 spots, and then this next block is where we sort of get. I think it's like 7th through to 2nd feels super tight. Like there'll be games. Hopefully we're not in it.
7th to 2nd, huh?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can still maintain a bit of a lead, but yeah, because I think like even Cerberus were taking games off Magma last pre-nat, so it's like, I think it's gonna be super tight this comp, and there's gonna be a lot of shuffling in this next bracket.
All right, we got 4 predictions in. All of them had Team Aqua. Bread's put Rampage.
Wow, Brad.
Wow, Bread. What the hell?
Probably
Bread?
facts though.
All right. You got 5 seconds, chat. 4, 3, 2, 1. 7th place, we have
Cheeto.
Roll, Team Aqua. Just in time, Simi. Yeah, so I had them in 8th place. Spider had them in 7th, and Runt also had them in 7th. I'm pretty sure from here on out, Spider and Runt were unanimous in their predictions.
Let's go.
So, on the team, we have Griffo, Dark Passion, Jam, Hazmat, Moss, and Cheeto. Now, to clarify, Hazmat is Hasbro, who attended with Luna Lads at Prenuts 1. He just slightly changed his alias.
All these alias trainers.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, huh? So, Cheeto and Jam haven't played a Zoltak event before. Jam's apparently been around the league scene in Queensland for a while and has been playing like the North vs South tournaments. Cheeto is the newest member of the team by a decent margin, but has seen a bit of competition at North vs South, which, you know, as I said in the last predictions video, the bloody Queensland scene and the North vs Souths and stuff is just a crucible for for talent. So what else have I got? I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the least experienced on Helios 2 and in Hobart, because the only player that played Prenuts 1 on this team is Hazmat. Whereas every other team, except actually One Up later.
I did wonder, has Dark Passion and Griffo, did they hit up like the Box Hill comps or anything while they were sort of living around that area?
And I don't think they did.
Okay. So yeah, pretty much 5 fresh players to H2 then.
And they've, if I'm not mistaken, they've moved back to Queensland now as well anyway, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so I had this team in 8th. A lot of that was because of obviously Mikey's on my team. Adelaide boys, I'm gonna have a lot of faith in them, but I think Exile, like, just in general, they have a little bit more experience because they got 2 players that played Prenuts 1 rather than 1, and then also Exile and Mikey have just been around for a bit, like a lot longer than Hazmat has been. So I feel like they might be able to convey the experiences they had and things they learned to the rest of the team maybe more effectively than Hazmat can, just off the fact that like he's a newer player. I could be talking out of my ass. Maybe he's like a genius or something. But that's why I had them. And then also like everyone on Adelaide Aegis has been to a Nats, whereas Cheeto and Jam haven't seen a Nats yet. Obviously, you know, we give the Queensland rookies like, you know, they're generally like we perceive them as being like probably better than a lot of rookies would be, like from other states. But because of that, that's why I had them 1 below. But yeah, I think for me the bottom 3 can shuffle quite a lot. Obviously, we've got Dark Passion on this team, who's like a super strong player.
I think Dark Passion is going to go on an absolute tear down here. When you've got like a team of sort of newer players, you just get to be in the action the entire time, and he's just going to come out with a ridiculous number of points. Just absolutely abusing these lower players on panels, I think. But yeah, and has Griffo captained much before?
Yeah, I wonder if this is a case of Griffo is captaining or if she's just the one that submitted the rego.
Well, I think she's captaining her Nats team, so I think she might be. But yeah, it'll likely be a case of like Griffo's captaining, doing the strats, and then you sort of just go Dark Passion, lead the attack, and then he runs the attackers through. Is usually how his teams seem to operate.
Okay, yeah, Cyrix just said that Griffo captained the Renegades.
Ah, true.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I don't. It's hard because we haven't seen, other than Hazmat, we haven't seen any of these guys in Hobart on Helios 2. But Spider, have you got any like initial thoughts on what you expect to see or anything that stands out?
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, but like typical Queensland, I think these players just get trained so different to any other state. And so I think I'm really stoked to see this team specifically go. I love Jesse or Dark Passion. Talking to him outside the maze is like so much fun. And then versing him, he just keeps moving states. But whenever he's in New South Wales, we have such a blast. But I think the more looking at like the bottom four in this team with Jam, Hazmat, Moss, and Cheeto, I think it's going to be what you said, Ryan. Just like how quick can they adapt and get used to it. And I think like I don't think they're going to have that much of an issue. They kind of get trained really, really well, so they'll probably just get told like do this, and then they'll just do it better than anyone else.
Hazmat, yeah, Hazmat seemed solid by like halfway through pre-nuts 1. Like he was good as an anchor. He was one of the better anchors at that comp, I thought.
Yeah.
So they pick it up fast too.
He's left-handed as well, right?
Yeah. This is something I was gonna say. Is tall
love
left-handers playing anchor in Hobart is something we actually haven't seen much. Like Spider, I don't think you ended up anchoring much. So he was the main one doing it. Like he was pretty much the only person holding high of blue base, for example, and holding that other side of T and that other side of red V. I think red V is super strong for lefties, and we just changed green, so now that's super strong for lefties, and I think his midfield was super strong for lefties, and I kind of hate that it's turning into a lefty maze. But yeah, I think he's a very valuable anchor on that team, just because he holds it so different to what we're used to.
Yeah, so Cyrix pointed out, I did have this in my notes, but Moss was our juniors champ for Bendigo Nats, and there was a lot of really good players in that juniors. So him winning that was a big achievement. So I'm excited to see how he transitions to Helios 2. I think we saw all the other rookies from Queensland transition pretty well. Like by the end of it, Pug Noodle and what were that? Was it Pug Noodle or Pug? No, it was Pug Salad and LT Noodle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pug Noodle.
Yeah. I think. Wait.
And you also had Shock as well.
What are their names? It's LT Noodle and Pug Salad. I think
Pug
Salad's hair went that way to the left, and LT Noodle's hair went to the right because they're identical twins. That was how I differentiated them. Anyway, we saw them pick up Helios 2 like really quickly. Like by the end of the comp, I was having a bit of trouble in duels against them and stuff. So, yeah. Look, if that's anything to go by, I'm sure these guys, Jam, Moss, and Cheetah that haven't played Helios 2 before will adjust like quick enough.
I think the big thing that probably puts these guys a bit above like the teams below them is just game sense as well. I think they've got enough experience in terms of like running games, assuming like Griffo is leading the team. I think like the Dark Passion helping with attack and Griffo helping with defense just like gives them a real solid team formation, and so then like going into games with the other teams, I think they might be a little step ahead, which is why I put them up a little bit higher.
And it was Jam and Cheeto that we haven't seen, right?
Yes. So Jam and Cheeto haven't been to a Zoltec event before.
Yep. Fun.
Well, chat, if you can start putting your predictions in for 6th place. Boys, do you have any parting thoughts for the team?
Not really. I think these guys are going to shift up from 7th to 1. It's kind of like what I was saying, that it'll be fluid in this sort of area. They're going to take a lot of games off high teams and probably lose some games they maybe shouldn't. I think it'll be going up and down a lot.
Yeah. Once again, big learning experience. So best of luck to Team Aqua. Hope you can, make the most of this comp and learn as much as you can so you're fighting ready for Prenuts 3 or for Nationals.